Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review Burning Bright. His feeding, your frenzy.
Directed by Carlos Brooks, starring Briana Evigan, Charlie Tahan, and Garret Dillahunt. This movie's about a young woman, Kelly, and her autistic little brother, Tom, who are stuck in a house with a ravenous tiger during a hurricane. This is actually a recommendation from our top donator over on Patreon, Deke. This is one that I've never seen a movie with a tiger in it, other than Jungle Book. I didn't watch Life of Pi, so this was different. People getting stuck in a house. We've seen this concept a little bit with Sharknado, and there's a shark swimming in the living room that time. So this was way different than what we usually watch. So what do we like? I like the concept and the setup for this movie. Basically, this guy goes and buys a tiger, and because it's a hurricane, they have to board up all the windows and doors to this home. And it's because this douchebag of a stepfather wants to get some sweet life insurance money by letting this tiger eat his children. So he lets the tiger into the house, boards up the door, and goes to the bar for a couple drinks. Okay, first and foremost, who thinks it's a wise idea to go to a bar in the middle of a hurricane where it's not boarded up? Although being in a house with a tiger is probably not safer.
Yeah, but this guy clearly had the alibi covered because he was like,
I was at the bar.
He's watching the Weather Network, waiting for this like precise moment to be like, hurricane warning. Gonna get the crew to board up the windows of my new Safari and get the tiger in there. That way no one will suspect like, oh, hey sheriff, I'm making a safari. And there's a hurricane coming, so I gotta board up my place so it doesn't get destroyed. Perfect alibi. There you go.
Perfect alibi. Tiger ate my kids. Don't buy a goddamn tiger and lock them in there with your kids. Unless you want a cool $325K for the lot. Anyway, it's a cool concept because it's not done often. Although it does make me a little bit more interested to watch House Shark.
I thought they did a good job utilizing the location. Because this really is only like a one location film, you would think that being in a house, it would get kind of boring, but they found ways to go in and out of different rooms and put themselves in different situations. The whole set looked cool. Like the house was run down, it was being remodeled, and they used it to their advantage.
Yeah, I'm actually shocked because like a tiger's a big ass animal. And they were able to use so many different areas to not only be unique in like their scares, but just the way that the tiger can basically dominate certain areas of the house. Even if it's just an open room, perhaps it's, you know, throwing a bed against the wall and pinning the people behind it. Like little things like that, and I was completely entertained.
I liked that they started off with the most ridiculous thing, where Kelly climbed up the laundry chute. I think having it as the first encounter with the tiger was the smartest move.
I think it was really cool too. Just like the way that it looked, and like you kind of get claustrophobic. You're on the edge of your seat like, don't you slip out of there, you sweaty bitch. The whole situation was cool, and it kind of showcased how they were gonna use the tiger. He's breaking through basically the entire house. And so you really feel this ferocity from him. You're terrified because you know that one paw is gonna rip an arm off.
Cat hadn't eaten in 2 weeks. That's how you show him who's boss. And when you move him, you roll the cage with this.
It was established that he hasn't eaten for 2 weeks so that it can show the new owner some dominance when he feeds them. And the main course is his kids.
I thought Briana Evigan, who played Kelly, did a great job. She didn't have as many lines as you would expect, so a lot of the acting was done through her emotions and her just like dealing with the situation. And I felt her expressions were very believable. You felt for her in every situation she was put in.
Yeah, not only like the dangers of an immediate tiger attack, but also her dealing with her relationship with her brother, Tom, who's autistic. And you can tell that she starts to get frustrated because he's a lot to deal with, especially when you're already in a very screwed up situation and you're trying to calm Tom down and make sure he's not exposed to some things that he might be sensitive to. She has to deal with a ton, and she did it extremely well. I also thought that Charlie Tahan, who played Tom, did an excellent job as well. Usually, I'm not a fan of kid actors, and while I didn't enjoy his character, I thought that he did it really well. He wasn't making eye contact with anybody, just the way that his like mannerisms around certain objects and his just like interaction with the environment and people. It just seemed really, really believable. Now, what didn't we like?
I may get a lot of hate for this one, but home invasion movies, anything where you're trapped inside a house, regardless of what you're trying to overcome, I felt in this one, the tiger was just too out there. I didn't feel the intensity that I thought maybe I should have felt if it was a person or something else.
What do we do now?
It is a ridiculous concept, and they're making the situation very serious, but you have a tiger just nonchalantly walking through the hall.
I think that it was cool.
I get how dangerous the tiger could be. Overall, I just think it wasn't as threatening because it's a tiger.
Wait, okay, hold on. If you were put into a cage with a man or a tiger,
If I'm in a cage with a tiger, I'm gonna.
is it funny?
It's scary, I guess.
You could either have a man chasing you, or you could have a tiger. One's gonna do a lot more damage. You don't see, even Michael Myers doesn't break down doors like this tiger.
I get that it's a different concept. I just having a hard time to feel the tensity.
Okay, replace that tiger with the llama that he had. Now I can understand. Okay, that's a little overboard. Still want Llamageddon, by the way. Where the hell's that movie? I don't know. What I did find a little bit distracting was the slow motion. They tried to do a lot of slow motion shots, and it wasn't shot with a slow motion camera. This was just like 5 frames per second. It looked really jittery, and they did it probably, I would say at least 5 to 6 times. Also, some of the compositing with the tiger, even though it is a real tiger, there are certain circumstances where it was obviously on a green screen set and they had to like composite him into the scene to make it look like he's coming through a wall or he's swiping here. You can tell that he's just placed there because the lighting might not match up perfectly, or, you know, you can kind of see around his fur that he's not keyed properly as well.
Yeah.
Little things, nitpicky things, but you can notice it.
Especially with like the color grading between the tiger and the people and the house. The orange really does pop. And then because you do have like a weak feathering around him, it does really show that separation between the setting and the tiger itself.
This is one of those dislikes that is going to happen if you even watch this movie. Because you know that there's going to be a tiger in the house. It's on the front cover, it's on every poster, it's in the synopsis. I feel like you shouldn't know that. I think it would have been a cooler movie to just watch and see what happens. It's a weird dislike, I get it. You know, some movies you just want to know nothing about. And this would have been better if you knew nothing about it.
Also, every weapon that was used against the tiger in this movie didn't have the impact that it should have. It didn't have that moment where it's like, okay, we got 5 minutes before the tiger does something, let's try and figure out how to escape. Not the case at all.
Right, it's just people running away from the tiger. I don't know what I would do any differently. I don't think I could do it. I would pass out and get eaten immediately. Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. Burning Bright was an interesting concept that made for a fun movie. We had 2 characters stuck in a house with a tiger. I thought the interactions with the tiger were excellent. I thought our acting was great. But unfortunately, the kind of setup just seemed a little too easy. And it really only has one pace. I did like a lot of the aspects when they were hiding, and there were tense moments, but like John had mentioned, the tiger doesn't really like have any weakness. I also had some issues when it came to the compositing of the actual tiger and some of the slow motion bits, but it was still like an okay movie. So I'm gonna give this 2.5 sad pirates out of 5.
This film had an interesting concept to it. It sounds really good on paper, but I felt as though the delivery wasn't as good as what it could have been. The acting was great, the setting was great, it just wasn't tense. I didn't find myself on the edge of my seat. I wasn't concerned for the characters necessarily because the situations they were put in, it just seemed as though they could get out of it easily and then re-put themselves in a different room in the same situation. It didn't come off as though they were being threatened at the time, despite it being a tiger, which is a threatening animal. But in this film, I didn't feel that, especially considering this is a serious film. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this film 2 hungry carnivores out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't and you do want to check it out, there are links in the description where you can find it. And if you want the opportunity to recommend a movie for us to review, check out the Patreon. Links are also in the description. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay updated with everything Bloodbath and beyond.